Hello, everybody. It's Daniel here, and welcome to Emotional English, the podcast where we learn in English language effortlessly, emotionally, filled with energy, and of course, positively. Welcome, everybody. And today I've prepared another podcast episode for you guys about the personal development. We had discussed earlier the topic of how to not be gullible, and today is the part number 2 of that episode. So you can listen to the part number 1 if you haven't done this, or you can listen to the part number 2 and then analyze the part number 1, because these are kind of connected to each other. And the part number 2 about how to not be gullible is about developing critical thinking. You know what is critical thinking? It's when you not trust the people right away. So you asking questions to yourself. Is it true? Is it so? Do I need to double check this information or not? So all of this called critical thinking. People who are gullible, who trust everything and everybody, very simply, they don't have critical thinking. And that is the problem why people trust everything and everybody, because they haven't developed their own critical thinking. Critical thinking is a very important skill, right? So people who are smart, they have a good critical thinking. And today we will learn English with acknowledging the information about how to develop critical thinking. And as usual, I'm using the website wikihow.com, where you can read different topics about different things, how to do things in life and develop yourself. So the part number 2 is starting. Today we discuss 7 parts, like 7 steps, how to develop critical thinking. And I will read step number 1, step number 2. I will read some information about each step and share my own thoughts on it. If I see the new vocabulary here or a new interesting word, we can discuss. I can simplify the hard word and make it more understandable for you. And you can remember and learn the new word right away. Okay? So, let's begin. I think it's the time to start. And if you're curious about English, you can visit my website, www.danilabondarenko.ru. And I have another website, www.emotionalenglish.ru, where you can listen to the podcast, where you can check, do we have any upcoming events? And to be honest, I want to announce a new event very soon. So on the 24th of January, we will have a new event, online meeting. It's just the club meeting. So we will gather online on Google Meet platform. You can reserve your seat on the website emotionalenglish.ru/events. And do it, and we will meet online and discuss some different interesting topics. So I try to connect our philosophy of life and English learning together, and we'll have some fun all together. Okay? So that's all for right now. And let's begin, and let's come back to our topic. Step number 1, how to develop critical thinking. Do not rush to make big decisions. Very important statement. Do not rush to make big decisions. What does it mean, do not rush? It means do not speed up the process. Do not make the process very fast. Do not think very fast. So you need to think. You need to stop for a moment. Not rushing, please. Not running anywhere. And think, okay? People who are gullible, they always make fast decisions, and they never think twice or thrice. They just make decisions right away. And yeah, maybe it's a good thing to be gullible sometimes with people you trust the most. But if the person is new, you definitely need to have a critical thinking in action. So do not rush, do not speed up the process to make big decisions, right? So take some time, think a bit, and things going to be better. So let's read what the author have prepared for us here, okay? Blindly committing to big decisions may lead to consequences you might regret later. This is also the tact some people use to lure people into making a commitment without fully considering the ramifications, such as a real estate agent, a prospective employer, or a partner. A spontaneous decision often is a poorly considered one. Okay? And I think the last one is actually describes the whole paragraph. A spontaneous decision often is a poorly considered one. Okay? So when people are spontaneous, it's not very good. Okay? In the case of gullibility. So when you're gullible, you make spontaneous decisions, but we need to train our critical thinking and train our mind to ask more questions and to take some time to think. All right. So when we blindly committing to a big decision, it means that we close our eyes and we are not looking attentively, right? Blind, it means without looking or without having eyes, right? So it means, people who cannot see, they are blind, right? And you can do something blindly without paying attention. And many people, they're committing big decisions blindly. It means without concentration, okay? It's the same as spontaneously. So when you blindly committing to a big decision, you're committing spontaneously. To commit, it means you make a decision, right? When you're blindly committing to a big decision, it may lead to consequences. Consequence, it's like a result. And most cases, consequences are kind of negative. Let's say if you did something wrong, there are some consequences. There are some results which you would regret later, okay? What does it mean, regret? Regret is something you wanted to change, right? You know how the Frank Sinatra sang the song, Regrets, I had a few, and then again, I don't remember the words. But anyway, the regrets, it's something you wanted to change, right? You would change it, but, if you could. But anyway, regrets are things which you wanted to change. So, and people blindly committing, blindly making a decision, big decisions, and this leads to consequences, to negative results that you might regret, you might dislike further, right? This also, the tact some people use, right? What is the tact? Classically, this word, very similar to Russian language word, tact, right? Intact and that tact. It's the way people, I would say, plan or dealing with difficult issues with some sense or sensitivity, right? So, the word tactic, right? It's when you planning your actions. So when you act with a tact, you act with some plan, right? For example, you can meet a girlfriend or boyfriend, and you can act with a tact or without the tact. When you acting with the tact, it means you have prepared for this particular situation and you're using correct words, logical words. But when you are spontaneous, you can say something stupid and it's not tactful, okay? It's without a tact. And girls, they would dislike it. Or boys, whatever. So I'm not trying to be sexist here, but I'm a boy, so that's why I'm trying to say or explain my position. When you speak with a lady with the tact, it means you use pre-planned action and correctness, okay? People say correct things, and it's better to say correct things, what other people respect. When you're acting without the tact, you're kind of disrespectful, you're not prepared, you're not ready, and people feel not good about you, Okay, so that's the difference. And this is also the tact some people use to lure people into making a commitment without fully considering the ramifications. So many new words, isn't it? So let's go step by step. Lure. What does it mean, lure? So this is also the tact some people use to lure people into making a commitment. When you're luring, it's like a manipulation. The girls lure boys just, to hang out with them. To lure someone, it means when you draw attention, right? Let's imagine this. If you're a girl and you want to lure a boy, you need to put the makeup on. You need to wear appropriate, beautiful clothes, right? And then you will lure your boy effectively, because luring is possible when you look very good, when you draw attention, right? But is it easy to lure people into making a commitment without fully considering the ramification? It's a different story. It's not that simple. If people are smart, it's not so easy to lure them into making a wrong decision, right? But if you are pretty tactful, if you pretty smart and you planning your life, you're using your critical thinking, it's not easy to lure you to the wrong decision, right? Making a wrong decision or a wrong commitment, right? So because people, they can consider the ramification, right? So what does it mean when you consider ramification? Ramification, it's something like a consequence, right? But it's the ramification with a wrong. It's a synonym, actually. It's a synonym for consequence. But most cases, ramification, it's kind of negative, which you dislike, right? When you are a smart person, you try to, you try to make a commitment without, let's say. Okay, let me try again. So this is also the idea. When you have some tact, it's very simple to lure unexperienced people, right? Because they make they think less, and they don't consider their ramification. They don't think about consequences in the end. Okay. So when you're kind of weak, you always never consider the ramification. But when you smart, you always fully consider the ramification. Okay. And there are many things like real estate agent, prospective employer, partner. When you think about the results, you're using your critical thinking. When you don't think about consequences and about ramifications, you are gullible, because you don't use your critical thoughts, okay, your mind. And that leads to the spontaneous decision making, right? So when you make a decision spontaneously, you're not very productive in critical thinking, okay? And that leads to gullibility, or to becoming gullible person, okay? That's actually the whole paragraph. We've got it. So we discussed with you what is ramification. It's the same as a consequence, something negative, like a negative result, right? We had discussed with you the commitment, right? It's the decision which you make day by day. For example, I have a commitment to wake up early, 6 a.m. every day, and be productive, do my yoga practice. So that's my commitment. It's it's like my challenge. I made a decision, and I'm following this decision because it's my commitment. I said it. We discussed the word tact, right? Because when you're acting with that tact, you're more smart because you're preparing, and you prepared, and you use correctness with your actions, right? That's the point. Second step. So they recommend us to be more skeptical. And yes, when you show your skepticism, you are using your critical thinking. Because skeptics, they're pretty thoughtful because they think, what are you talking about, right? What do you offer to them? And some people can say that skepticism is bad, and I agree because when you try something new, you can be very skeptical about the new things, and you can be just a negative person. And most negative thinkers, they are very skeptical. They don't believe everything, even with understanding that it can lead to something good. But people are skeptical because they can be lazy, or they can be they can understand that they cannot do something. That's why they're skeptical. And in some part, let's say this. One part of me is saying that be more skeptical is good for critical thinking. But another part of me is saying that it's not a good idea to be skeptical to train your critical thinking. Because when you're training skepticism, you training yourself to not believe everything. And you have a point. You becoming biased. Do you know what is biased? Become biased. It's when you're biased, you believe in one picture or in one interpretation of an idea, and you reject everything else. And skeptics, they believe in the idea that they know the truth and everything else is wrong. And I think that this is not very open-minded position, and it can lead to the disaster. Yes, it's good to have critical thinking. It's good to have a good amount of skepticism. But when you have too much of skepticism, you becoming very biased and aggressive person. Nobody likes people who argue. Nobody likes people who have their own position and who push. They are kind of pushy people. And that's what people dislike. And I dislike that as well. So that's why I don't want to discuss too much about this step, because I don't believe that this is a good way to practice your critical thinking, right? It's only my position. So let's skip this one. You can use it, but with a good amount of skepticism is good. Number 3, step number 3, make people earn your trust. And this part I want to discuss for sure. So it's good to make people earn your trust. It means you're not trusting the person right away. First of all, you're testing people. You give them like little challenges, I would say. And if they face the challenge and they committed the challenge, and then they passed your tests, it means that you can trust the person. And, it's good to test people because let's imagine you want to create a family like myself, right? You listen to my podcast about my resolutions, right? And is it important for myself to ask people and test them, let's say my future wife, is it important to test the woman? Yes, it's very important, because if you haven't done it before, if you didn't use your critical thinking about the person who is in front of you, and you are making a long-term plan with that person, you have a big possibility of failing because if you haven't tested the person, things can go wrong, right? So that's why it's important to make people earn your trust. So when people show and prove that they're trustful, right? You can trust them. That's the point where your critical thinking can go down a bit. So you don't have to be completely distrustful just because you want to be less naive. However, if you really want to work on not being gullible, then you cannot go around trusting every person who comes by your side. Get to know people and establish a relationship with them first, whether you are becoming closer with a coworker or dating someone new. Making people prove themselves to you instead of believing them at face value is a sign of a strong critical thinking. Beautiful paragraph. We discussed it already in a simplified version, right? But I like a couple of great words here. First of all, people want you to be less naive. Do you know what is naive? We have very similar word in Russian. I am so naive when I trust people right away. So when you're gullible, you are naive. When you're not gullible, when you have critical thinking, you're becoming less naive, right? It's so naive to trust every girl you face. It's so naive to trust the employer's word when he promising you, the raise or a lot of money, right? Don't be naive, right? Use your critical thinking, right? Don't be gullible. It's pretty similar here. Another word is what I wanted to discuss here about establishing a relationship with people, right? What does it mean to establish a relationship? It means to have a relationship, to create the relationship, to make a relationship work for you, right? And let's say this. You can establish a company, you can establish a new habit, and you can establish a relationship. So it's a new foundation, right? It's like a new building, new base. And when you're basing and you're establishing a relationship, it means you're creating it and you're improving it day by day. And while you're establishing your new relationship, you should test other people. So making people prove themselves first to you instead of believing them at the face. Okay. And they have this example at face value, right? So what is this face value? It means when things are open, right? When things are clear, it's called face value. There is a margin value and face value. Face value is without extra things, right? Some girls, they improve their photos by Photoshop or by filters and everything. That's not face value of a person because they use some additives, right? Let's say they did some manipulation with their lips, with their eyes, and now she looks more beautiful, but it shows not the face value. It shows something bigger than that, right? But the face value, it's the natural state of things. The face value of the product is what the product cost as something natural. Okay, so and people need to show the face value, right? That's kind of good. Yeah, so people should prove themselves to you and not just show you the face value of things. You just need to show what you really think about people. By the way, I have one more idea about face value. I just got this point. Probably in this case, face value is more connected with, this first impression, probably. Yes, I guess this is the correct interpretation here. When you see a person at the first time, you have your first impression, right? This is the face value in this context because it's your first emotions, first thoughts and ideas about the person, right? And sometimes you feel that the person is better than because you see the person for the first time, right? You don't know what's inside of this person, and it's only the face, right? How the person look like. This is the better interpretation, I guess. So forget everything I taught you before. So this is the better construction. Imagine the face and the person shows you good qualities, right? But the person doesn't show you what's inside. It means the face value is just the look, but what's inside you should open by critical thinking. You need to ask provocative questions to show the real nature of a person. Okay. So I think now it makes more sense, guys. So face value, it's something like first impression. Okay. Just remember this case. It's very important to clarify it because in different contexts, words have different meanings. So you should understand that. The face value of the product, for example, right? If we discuss the business, so this is about, just a clear, how does it cost, in real case, right? That's what I think about this one. Okay, that was the step number 3. Let's jump to the step number 4. Don't jump to conclusions. Okay, that's a step number 4. Don't jump to conclusions. And that's pretty interesting. Let's discuss the word conclusion first. Do you know what is conclusion? It's the end or finish, right? And when you say, okay, this is good, right? The person is good. You jump to the conclusion because let's say you saw a person for the first time, right? You've met a girl or a guy, and you have your face value of a person. And then you jump to the conclusion, oh, this person is good. But don't jump to conclusions because it's not true. It can be not true. Some people, they can show you that they're good, but in reality, they're not good. They can hide something. They can lie to you. They can say words, but they don't mean these things, It means don't jump to conclusions. Use your critical thinking. Ask more questions. Test the person, and things going to be better. So let's see what the author is showing us here. Don't jump to conclusions. If you want to not be gullible, then don't let yourself jump to conclusions before having all of the facts yet. Just because your teacher missed a day of school, don't believe that they are fired just because that's what your best friend is saying. Just because your boss is being extra nice to you this week, don't assume it means you'll be getting a promotion soon. Make sure you have time to gather all of the information you need before you make a hasty assumption, right? Oh yeah, this is a good one. And I see a couple words here, right, which is pretty interesting. First of all, the word assume, right? Don't assume, right? What does it mean? Don't guess. Don't think about something. Don't suppose without the proof, right? Assuming. Don't assume. Don't think in advance, right, about something. I'm assuming you're having a nice smile, right? Yes, in this particular moment you are, but don't assume. If you're assuming in advance, you're kind of gullible. But when you have some time, some pause, and assuming, long term, that's more effective. Okay. And let's imagine this. You can assume that, my boss is smiling to me. He wants to give me the raise. He wants to give me a promotion. It's only your assumption. So the word assumption is the noun from the word assume. So when you have an assumption, it means that it's your guess. It's not fully correct. It's not tested yet. It's only the assumption, right? Or assumption. You can use Z sound as well. So assumptions are different, and it's the opposite of facts. Okay, you need to test your hypothesis first, and then your assumption will disappear, and the fact will show up. Right. First, you have an assumption. Next, you test your assumption. Then you have the facts, the results, or consequences. Okay, that's the point. Before you make hasty assumptions, you should think thrice. Make sure you have time to gather all the information, okay? So we discussed the word assumption, we discussed the word assume, but we haven't discussed the word hasty. What does it mean, hasty? It means when you do things very fast, you make a hasty decision, right? It means in a rush. Hasty decision which you makes in a rush, right? which you make in a rush. So that's the point. So gullible people, they make hasty assumptions. So they assume things. They think that something gonna happen, but in reality, they didn't use their critical thinking and they guessed wrong. Okay. And they face the consequences. They faced what? Yes, they have faced ramification. Okay, just double checking your vocabulary, guys. That was the number 4 fact, right? And we jump to the step number 5 now. Avoid anything that sounds too good to be true. And I don't want to concentrate on this one too much. I think it's pretty understandable already, right? So we should avoid anything that sounds too good to be true. Because things which sounds too good to be true, probably it's a scam. It's something wrong. It's something not natural. It's something not good. You know, when I'm looking at the dating app, I'm looking for a girl, I'm swiping. I hate this, to be honest. I really miss this time when people were walking outside, had more time to walk and meet in person in real life. But when you swipe these girls, you understand, man, yes, this girl looks beautiful, but she has so many tattoos. She got a lot of makeup on. She got a lot of troubles with, okay, I don't want to say anything here, but it's just, I want you guys to remember this. You should avoid, you should ignore and go away from things which looks too good to be true. For example, I like to see the girl on the picture and she shows her good parts, beautiful parts of the body. This is very suspicious to me because, look, why are you showing your boobs or your beautiful bum to me? What's the point of this? You want to show me that you have something good and you hiding something right away, because this is very suspicious when girls try to show you the good parts of their body, and they are doing this for a reason because they think that you will see only these parts, and these parts will draw your attention. That's why they do this. But I use my critical thinking and I try to avoid these girls because that's the only thing they want to show you. They want to show you that, look, I have a beautiful bum, I have a beautiful breast, and that's what you need to know about me. That's all what I have. That's what I have in my mind when I see the picture like this. I'm not interested in this type of girl because they show only the beautiful parts of their body, tattoos, or piercing, or the color of their hair, or their makeup, or their eyes, or their lips, like crocodile lips or these duck lips. Man, what are you doing with your body? So you want to show that you are beautiful. I get it. But this is not the most important thing in life because you will become old. And what I'm going to see? Your beautiful ass? No, of course not. Your bum going to get old as well. So avoid anything that sounds too good to be true. Let's see what the author has prepared for us here. The fact of the matter is that if something sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Whether a Prince Charming type you just met is trying to sweep you off your feet, or your friend is asking you to invest in a business that is guaranteed to make you rich, you should always hesitate before you enter a situation that sounds like it will make all of your problems go away. If you feel like you're encountered the most perfect opportunity in the world, then chances are that there is a catch. Okay? It's a pretty beautiful one. Don't expect that the Prince Charming is the Prince Charming. Girls sometimes are very gullible. They see, oh, this beautiful guy. It's my Prince Charming type, But we have the beautiful word here. This beautiful Prince Charming type trying to sweep you off your feet. So that's very important. It's the same that this girl from the Tinder or from dating website is trying to do with me. The girl trying to sweep me off my feet by showing her bum or breast or beautiful parts of her body. Yeah, so I should think thrice about this because it looks and it sounds too good to be true. Something is wrong with this girl. She's doing this for a reason, right? Something is wrong. Or when someone is asking me to invest money in business, and this is like guaranteed to make me rich. This is very suspicious, right? This should hesitate. So that should hesitate me. Hesitate means it should worry you. Think thrice about this. So it should hesitate. You should always hesitate before you making a decision. People say, don't hesitate to write me. Yes, it means don't worry and, no hesitation. Write me without any problems. But you should hesitate when you see a problem. Something is wrong going on. You should be hesitated because it is wrong when the girl is showing you her beautiful parts, body parts. Don't be gullible. Don't think that this girl is perfect just because she's showing you the beautiful parts of her body. You need to speak to her. She need to prove that she's good enough, and then you can make a move. Yeah, but don't be so aware, right? Don't be so hesitant, because when you're too much hesitant, you asking too much. The same thing happens with the girl. The girls say, hey, look, I'm looking for a boyfriend who will support me, who will do this, who will do that, who will be a financial provider, who will do this and that. Yes, it's important to the guy to be, good, right? But if you expect too many things from the boy, this is kind of how you call these people. Like abusive, right? It's pretty abusive. You're abusing the guy who provides you, who gives you support, who do this, who do that, who like everything you say. It's too good to be true. Let's be realistic here. Let's face the real consequence and be critical thinkers, right? The statement step number 6, know that there is some evolutionary good in being gullible. We need to know that there is something evolutionary good in being gullible. And I like the case. I don't want to read the paragraph, what the author had prepared for us, because we're kind of short in time. It's already more than 30 minutes, almost 40 minutes of our podcast. We need to wrap up this podcast episode. I will just comment this one, right? So we should know that there is some evolutionary good in being gullible. It's good to be gullible sometimes, because when you are too hesitant, when you're asking too many questions, it's annoying. It's really annoying when you're becoming this hesitant. It's good to trust people. And I think it's naturally very humid. One second, I'm messing up the word. Not humid. Humid, it's about the air. Humility, right? It's a very human, right? It's a human nature to be gullible, in my opinion, right? It's not animal. It's more animalistic to live with your instincts, right? But when you critical thinker, this is like lizard thinking mentality, right? It's the part of your brain when you're like, maybe she's saying good words, but maybe she's not good, It's a little bit hawkish to be like this. So that's why sometimes it's good to be gullible. Sometimes it's just natural to use your senses and your open heart and think not with your mind and think with your heart. I like this example of Jesus Christ. Jesus, he's a creator of Christianity. He had created this idea of love, and he's the representation of love. And sometimes we need to think not with our mind, but we need to use our heart and love feeling to make a decision. So it's good to be gullible and loving than being cruel or being a critical thinker and be too like a skeptic, right? I think this evolutionary good point is to be in love with people, right? To use your love and follow your love purpose. Because without love, you're just a robot. You're an AI. You can speak with an AI, but you feel that AI feels unnatural because the lack of love. You cannot replace love. Love is something inside of us which makes sense a lot. I hope it was pretty understandable here. And let's go to the state number 7, the last but not least fact about how to develop our critical thinking and not be gullible. Don't think anecdotal evidence always proves the truth. Anecdotal evidence, yeah, it's a good phrase, by the way. Anecdotal evidence is the experience of your own life. For example, some people, they do believe that, what? I've seen life, like old people like to do so. If you have an argument with the old people, they show you anecdotal evidence. It's nothing about jokes here, guys. Anecdotal evidence, it's the lawyer terminology. So anecdotal evidence, it's something what you faced in your life, and it's your basic experience, right? You have a theory and experience. And when you have theory and experience goes hand in hand, you get the wiseness, right? Or wisdom, right? So wisdom is your anecdotal evidence, because when you have faced something, sometimes you make a mistake and you start promoting the idea that something is wrong because you've made that mistake, and you promoting that there is only consequence and it's negative one. But it's not true. Some people did do the same and they win, and they didn't make the mistake you made, and they have an absolutely different experience with the same thing. For example, people say, oh, karate doesn't work. I know this. I've seen many videos on YouTube that people say and show their anecdotal evidence. They say, look, karate doesn't work because this, and that. It's like a fake martial art. It's not very realistic. Boxing is good. Boxing is really cool because it shows the real practical implementation and everything. Yeah, let's talk about this. People who have tried karate for 1 month and it didn't work for them, it's because they haven't practiced enough the karate, right? Of course, maybe boxing makes more sense in a practical state, but karate is more than just the practical state. It's the lifestyle, it's the culture, it's the tradition. And people can have different anecdotal evidences, right? Because of their different lifestyle and experiences. And that's what we think, what I think we need to point. Okay, we need to remember that anecdotal evidence is very unique for every single life. And if people say that they faced the problem and this is bad, it's only subjective. Remember that anecdotal evidence, life experience, is very subjective. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, so we faced all of these 7 steps, guys. We did a very good job today. So I hope now we're more aware of the problem, how to be not gullible, right? How to not be gullible. It's very important. And it's very important to improve our critical thinking, because if you did improve your critical thinking, you are becoming better and better and better. And we have one more part to go. One more part of this topic about avoiding tricks. And we will discuss this later later on in the podcast. So I hope you had fun. I hope you had improved your understanding of a new vocab a little bit more. If you didn't get something, just listen to this podcast one more time, or maybe 3 times or 4 times. Try to understand what I'm trying to say to you, and try to implement the new words or phrases you've learned in your daily basis, in your daily language. I think that's all for today, guys. I hug you all. I kiss you all. I respect you for your motivation, for your attention. Let's stay in touch. If you're listening to this podcast on Yandex or Google or YouTube, give a like, subscribe, and let's stay in touch. I'll happy to teach you, and I'll see you very soon. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.